I want to introduce Hong, who's going to talk about choosing the right event technology for your events, right?
That's right.
Over to you.
Thank you. All right, just a little bit of a test. Can you guys hear me? Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you for joining me here today. I just want to take a moment and ask you guys to just picture with me, okay? Go on this journey with me. Take a moment and picture this. It's Saturday night, or actually, just kidding, Saturday morning. You've had a really busy week. You just woke up, and then you check your phone, and it's like ding, 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 ding. Your friends are texting you saying, I'm so excited to see you tonight. What are we having for dinner? And you just realize, oh shoot, you committed to hosting a dinner party and you didn't plan anything. There was no meals. You didn't write down any ingredients that you want to go shopping for. So you head out to the store on an empty stomach, I might add. And then you go through the aisles and you're like, oh, that looks good. I want that. That looks really tasty. My friends might like that. And then $200 later, you go home, you realize you only got chips, dips, guac, a few drinks, but nothing for the main course. Anyone? That's like me every weekend. So that's exactly what it's like when you're shopping for event tech. That's exactly the journey. So we all know that event tech is extremely important, especially after the pandemic, because of the rise of virtual events and hybrid, but also because of the need to connect on a much deeper level, right? My name is Hong, and I'm the CEO and founder of Shiloh Events. For the past 10 years, we've been working with clients to go through this journey of shopping for the right event tech. And I hope that today I'll be sharing some of that tips for you guys to give you confidence to do that as well. So let's get started. Oh, actually, I want to warn you guys a little bit. This is like 101, but also a little bit 102. So I'm going to elevate your thinking a little bit just to be on a more strategic side. Okay, so on this journey, there are 6 steps that Shiloh takes with our clients. Step number 1, so obvious, know your goals. What's the purpose of your event? Why are you hosting it? Because in understanding your goals, you're gonna understand the challenges that you're gonna be facing with those goals. And when you understand those challenges, you can match them to figure out what is the right event tech category to meet those challenges. And so the second thing is understanding what event tech you're looking for. The third thing is consideration factors. This is like your shopping list, your ingredients. What are you going shopping for? The fourth step is actually going into the marketplace. And I have to warn you, this is going to take probably the most time out of the entire journey. So be prepared to do deep dives when you're in this step. Step number 5, after you've figured out what event tech you're going to get, you have to negotiate. Never take the first value numbers. Always negotiate. Ask for more. I'm Asian, I know that. So, and lastly, we need to implement that. We need to implement this process. It's a whole build out from this point on. So you got to get it right. Okay, so before we move forward, I just want to ask you guys to take a moment to think through an event that you're planning right now, you especially, and Melissa, right? And then if you're doing, oh, you know what, Joe, you're doing an event, 20,000 people. So think of an event that you're planning. And even if you don't have an event, just figure out what event you're going to, that you've been through or that you planned in the past. So as you think this through, I want you guys to just figure out what goals did that event have? Because great events, you've been to great events before and you've been to bad ones. The great ones are distinguished by the fact that they understand a clear vision, where they're headed. It's not combobulated, right? You know what's going on and the purpose of it. And great events always starts with knowing your goals. So in 2017, we partnered with Zoom for their flagship event, Zoomtopia. They came to us and they said, we need to do a type of event and we don't know how. How do we get there? So we started with figuring out their goals by asking a few questions. And so I'm going to ask you these questions right now, and I want you to think about it in your mind. So the first questions to ask is, who are your target audience? What does success look like? What does failure look like? What are your KPIs? What are you going to be spending, right? What data are you trying to collect from that event? And what kind of experience do you want your attendees to have? And lastly, what do you want out of it for yourself? Why are you involved in this event? So I kind of want to invite you guys to share with me, what are those goals that you came up in your mind for your event? And anyone want to share? No? Come on, okay, I'll call you out. Are you doing an event for your for your company? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So as you think through your goals, you're going to see that there's also challenges to those goals. And event tools are ways that we can help meet those challenges, right? So just like your Saturday party, it's imperative to know what you're shopping for, what you're going to the, who are you cooking for basically. And so I'm going to share with you a few examples in our experience of the goals and challenges and how we match that to the event tech. So for one example, if you're holding a community event, your goals may be connection, networking, knowledge sharing. And so we want to facilitate an environment where people feel that the connection is intentional, meaningful. And so how do you do that? How do you really get people to engage? So one of the ways to meet this needs is to get a matchmaking tool, to get a scheduling tool, one-on-one meetings like Brella or Brain Date or Different Hour. Yes. And so I just learned this morning from EMS. If you guys are going there, I'll be there as well. There's a WebEx app that's called Daily Shake Breaks. And it basically throughout the day gets people to get their phone out and shake it. And that's a way to like connect with other people because other people's phones will be kind of buzzing as well. So that's really awesome. Another example is if your goal is diversity, equity, inclusion, one of the challenges here is how do you make someone feel included, considered, right? So yesterday I was talking to Dave at Wordly and he had an app where it basically transcribes the words and it translates into another language. So the DEI tools here could be translation, transcription, ASL broadcasting. So I'm Vietnamese and I came over here fresh off the boat. I didn't understand English. I wish these kind of technologies were available to me when I was growing up in Oakland, mind you. And so there's a lot of things that I had to learn on my own, but these DEI tools are really good to have for people who are also visually impaired, audibly impaired as well. Another really cool DEI tool is narration. So it's basically an audio description or narration of exactly what's happening on screen. So if I'm like moving my arms, it'll say, speaker is really animated or whatever to really let people soak in the content of what's happening. The last example is if your goal is to have audience engagement, one of the categories of event tech that you want to look into is audience response system. And for an example, during a live presentation, I probably should have implemented it on this talk. If I wanted you guys to tell me what your goals are, you could literally jot it down. I'll share it on my screen, and then we can talk about it together. So there'll be live polling, live Q&A, let's see what else here. And then live quizzes and trivia, and I could like test you guys. So those are the 3 examples. So now that we know why we're going to the store, who we're shopping for, let's figure out the items that we're going to need. And this is step 3. It's basically the factors of consideration. At Shiloh, we broke it down to 5. Very easy. Functionalities, ease of use, cost, support, and scalability. I'm going to break it down a little bit more. So regarding functionalities, we had a client that had a registration system already purchased before hiring us, and they were extremely unhappy. They wanted granular reporting on registration tickets by attendee type so that they can track revenues. They also wanted reporting on discount codes so that they can tie it back to their marketing team and how well the promotions are going. They also wanted to do rooming list report to track attrition because, as you guys know, we want to make sure we meet those room blocks. And the system just couldn't do it. So we stepped in and basically pulled the reports and manually extracted the data and analyzed it for them. So the lessons learned here is you got to have a list of functionalities that you want before you make the purchase. On the flip side, there are a lot of different functionalities that are out there. Not all that you need. So if you're like me, I've downloaded a bunch of mobile apps that were sold to me on Instagram. I got sold, y'all. It was like parenting app, to-do app, AI virtual assistant app, and I downloaded all of it. I probably opened it like 5 times, clicked through a few things. I'm like, oh, I didn't need it. But by that time, I had already done a free trial for 7 days and paid $3.99 and then forgot to cancel. So it's really important to understand that not all the functionalities, you don't need them all, right? So you got to figure out what's best for you. API integrations are also really important to consider because you want to make sure that it gels well with your existing CRM system. Lastly, we need to understand how the software is going to make your lives easier. You don't want software that, there's a huge learning curve and then you spend time doing things and then end up, wasting even more time. It's not efficient for you and your team as well. And so, the question I ask is, what pain point did you have last year that this software is going to help you solve? Okay, so why don't you jot down, some of these ideas here, and I hope that by the end of it all, you become more confident. So next is ease of use. Obviously, right? You want to make sure that it's that it's easy to learn. But the reality is, guys, the learning curve for event tech is really hard, or any tech, and it can be discouraging when there's not available resources to guide you through the entire process. So again, how many times have you downloaded an app, tried it out, the icons don't work, and then you don't end up with the products that you want, right? So the ease of use is also really important when you have other team members that are working through this with you as well. So you may be picking an event tech for you, but not all minds work the same. So one of our tips is to do a free trial period, obviously, but here's some tips. When you do a free trial period, don't just take the 2 weeks period. Ask for 3 weeks, for 4, for 5. See if they would be agreeable to that. Would you be agreeable to that? Okay, there you go. See? Excellent. And then during the free trial period, ask them to do the build for you. And ask them to show you how to do the build, and then invite your team members to learn from that, all in the free trial period. Would you do that for your clients? Okay. So we want to select a platform that is intuitive, easy to use, and with readily available resources. I got to ask you, do you have a form for your support, or do you have a team for your support? Okay. There you go. All right. I'll get to you in a minute with the support. So regarding cost, it's important to review each line item because sometimes they may clump it together and you don't really understand. So maybe, as simple as support hours, $5,000. Well, you want to ask, how many hours is that? Are you going to be available to me 24/7? Am I going to be able to pick up the phone and get you on the, and then you sold me the platform, right? Am I going to talk to you, or am I going to talk to someone in India? So I just want to, understand that and ask those questions and what the cost is for that. Because I got to tell you, so I'm giving you secrets away. So the cost for the platform can also be negotiated in a way where, let's say they sell you $5 per registrant, right? Cut it in half, see where you get with that, right? So don't take the first value. So, and then as much as you can, do an apples to apples comparison chart. And albeit it may not align correctly, but then at least you still have that mental exercise of understanding what those items mean. And you'll be able to see what one vendor has to offer and what another vendor is missing in that proposal. And then lastly is ask for refund opportunities. Let's say you sold me on, gamification in your mobile app and I didn't end up using it and I signed it. Are you going to give me a refund, right? So am I going to be able to get the money back for the features that I didn't actually end up using? Okay, support. So you should know that support, build out, and training is a revenue opportunity for these event tech companies. It's an add-on. Sometimes basic support is just that, very basic level, but then you also have another additional support package where you're the VIP. They're going to be able to, they're going to answer right when you call. So one of our clients didn't have enough time to do a ticketing reporting structure and fix it. So they asked us to jump in, and when we got in, it was a whole mess. I had to fix, all kinds of different tiers and discounts, and we were going to launch within a week. But when we looked at the support package, it was only chat between 9 to 5 Eastern time. and it was only forum. There was no 24/7. So that's, I learned that the hard way. So this really delayed our ability to do a quick turnaround of, launching in time. So sadly, our clients had to miss that launch date. Okay, last thing is scalability. And scalability is a big consideration factor if you're going to do your program beyond year one. You want to be able to set a foundation that is to be able to scale for growth, and make sure that you're working with a company that's going to grow with you. Okay, so a few areas of scalability is advanced ticketing system, pass management, sessions tracking, discount codes tracking, robust email communications and marketing. You should ask your vendor if they update their technology often, or how often they do it. How often are they adding features to their system? So many event techs are startups, right? They're startups. So some of the features that you purchase from them today may seem great and they're cost efficient, but then let's say after year one, you've grown and you're more advanced and they don't have the features that you need. So challenge them in that way. Like, hey, I want to be part of your advisory board and I want to share with you guys some feedback that you're missing. And then guess what? You get to test the beta. You get to be the first one that has access to that improvement. And you must keep in mind that, you want to avoid having to migrate from system to system year over year. It's a pain to extract the data, import the data, line up the data, It's I've done it many times, and I really don't want you guys to have to do that year over year. So it's important that when you invest in a platform, it's a long-term relationship. Think through that and how they're going to be able to grow with you. Okay, so now that we've decided what we need to buy, where's the best place to buy them, let's go shopping, everybody. Okay, so just like there are hundreds of stores to go clothes shopping or food shopping, there's more than 800 event technology that's out there right now. That's a lot. How do you narrow it down from 800 to 10 to 5 to 3, right? Or to 1 even. And sometimes that one all-in-one system that you're looking for doesn't exist. It's because we all have different needs. We all have, requirements that one system may not fit. So let's say you end up with 3 event platforms to meet 3 different event elements. Let's say you have Wordly to do the transcription, or you have registration, or you have mobile app. So those 3 platforms, how do you get to that? So I want to say, let's say you narrow it down to, let's say you go through the list on Capterra or whatever system that you guys use for research, and you pick the keywords and the key functionalities. You have to call those 10 people or email them, and then through that, there's 3 to 5 calls each, then 10 calls each, and then you have just to even get to the point of custom demos. By this point, you're probably spending, 80 hours just reading through some of the documents that they send you. And by the way, you're probably on the emailing list for like 20 other companies that are going to spam you, right? So it's at the 6 to 8 touch point that you actually get to a point where you realize whether a vendor has it or not. Do you realize what you need? Oh my gosh, are you guys overwhelmed yet? I love demos. Says nobody. Do you guys love demos? I mean, right? It's time consuming. But I gotta say, demos that are custom tailored to your needs is what you want. You want that chef to come into your home and cook you the exact ingredients, whether you're vegan or gluten or, you want that specific tailored custom demo that's really going to speak to your heart and to what you need. Okay, so in order to do this yourself, here are a few action items that I want you guys to consider so that you're mentally prepared when you go into the marketplace, okay? So be prepared to do a lot of research. Research, research, research. Say that 10 times. It's a lot of time here. So first, look at the customer reviews, okay? Not the fluffy one like, oh, your platform is so great, it solved my problems. Not the 5 stars. Look at the 3 stars, 2 or 1, and look at the complaints, specific details of those complaints, and how these tech companies answer those questions, how they met the gaps of deficiencies, right? And how they responded. Did they take ownership? or did they deflect? And then what did they do, and certain solutions that they offered for those issues. So during the demos, ask a lot of questions. Make sure that you send them your list of questions ahead of time. So, you go to the restaurant. I don't know if you guys are picky eaters. I'm really not. I'll order anything. But, for vegan people, they'll ask, so what's in the ingredients, right? Or allergic. I'm allergic to this. It's like that, you guys. You want to make sure that the food that you consume is going to be healthy for you. Same thing with event tech. This is a 1, maybe 2-year contract at least, right? So when you're engaging in that relationship, look for that, long-term projection. Okay, so review. The 4th point is review preliminary agreements. Before you even get to the contracting phase, ask them to send you a draft of similar agreements that they've sent out before. And you want to look for privacy clauses, compliance clauses, security, and also refund clauses too. And then lastly in this area is to do a comparative analysis, pros and cons, functionalities, and cost. So I'm going to show you guys an overview of what we do at our company. This is a lot. Basically, it has our list of functionalities, notes, and then we compare it with 4 different vendors, pricing structure. So it's overwhelming, but that's why I'm here for you. And you can take this and apply it to yourself. You can definitely take a picture as well. Okay, so it's time to negotiate. All right, again, I'm Asian. I always do that at the market. So here are a few important areas to negotiate. Number 1, quantity of registrants and users. So this is important because let's say you have 1,000 users, 1,000 registrants that are going to come to your show, okay? And then only 80% show up because unfortunately marketing wasn't good enough. Are you going to get a refund? Another thing is if you sell more tickets, what is the price point per user? It better be the same that you sold me in the package or less, okay? And then training and support hours, pre-event and day of event, because support is like your lifeline. I don't know if you guys have ever been in a situation where the system just failed and you're like, I need someone right now, and you want to be able to have that lifeline come and help you. Okay, so initial build. We highly recommend that you ask them to do initial build for you as part of the package and have your team members watch and be part of that. As much as do-it-yourself DIY trends are fun to watch, it's in reality a long time to do. And there's a lot of lessons learned in that. I did a bunch of DIYs in my home. I had to break down break down a wall to do a great wall. And the wall that we had to break down, it was, one of those walls that you can't take down without compromising the structure of your home. So then we had to hire an engineer, we had to submit it for permitting, and it took an additional 6 months. It's like that with event tech builds. If you try to do it yourself and it breaks down, you don't really want to experience that. Okay, so this is the final step, implementation. This is where you go home, you start cooking, and you start making things. So in the contract, so again, I talked about onboarding and training. So in the implementation part, this is your entire team coming together. And by now, I hope that they've already had access to the system. So there's a few points up here, but I'm just going to call out some of the ones that are most important. So training and onboarding. This is where you want to make sure that you understand fully everything that you purchase, right? And then initial build, gathering assets, gathering content, gathering text, graphics, everything. And you want to be able to oversee that build in detail too. Updates and maintenance, this is important. Once you launch, it's not over. You have to do reporting. Then, maybe an attendee will email you and be like, this doesn't work. What's going on? Then you have to respond back, right? So constantly updating and maintaining the system is also really important. Okay, guys, it's Saturday night. Your friends are over, the candle is lit, and they're really enjoying their meal. Congratulations, you guys have gone through full circle with me, and we've successfully completed the shopping journey. So as I've walk you guys through these steps, I hope you have a positive experience moving forward with some of my lessons learned that I've shared. So skipping these steps will result in cringeful moments, chaos, lack of confidence, lack of preparedness, lots of blame, right? Like, who bought that? But if you get these steps right, you know what you experience? Peace, calmness, confidence, relationship, friendship even, you know? So I just want to stop here and then just kind of invite you guys to share with me what are some experience that you've had that were cringeful moments and good moments. Anyone?
Anyone have anything they want to share? If not, we actually got a question for you, Hong. So John has asked a question. How do you think artificial intelligence will impact the events industry?
Oh my gosh, completely.
Big question.
It will change the event. It has changed the event industry. As a planner, I use AI to plan content when I'm launching an event. So, you know, a lot of clients are new, they're tech startups, and they come to us and they say, I want to do an event. What should my messaging be? Who's my target audience? And I'll use AI to help me craft a vision. Because sometimes, you know, it's hard to come up with the words, right? Especially being an immigrant, I don't know the language really well. And I may sound like it, but sometimes I stutter. So AI really helps to beautify and come up with some of those ideas and vision. Then from there, AI will help you craft the initial event website build. AI has also changed the world in terms of diversity and equity inclusions, as I have mentioned, in being able to include, to transcribe and translate in some of those languages into, you know, across the world. Great.
Thank you so much, Hong. Thank you for everyone for coming.
Okay. Oh, sorry. One more thing. I have a gift for you. So here are a list of functionalities that we have put together for different event tech categories. If you're a planner or not planner, take a picture of this QR code, fill out your information, and then I will send you guys the gift beautifully packaged in your email. Not spam, I promise. Okay, thank you, everybody.